Coming in number 4, we've got finding a Meatsuit For Samhain. Plenty of demons get summoned through the many seasons of Supernatural. Some need folks to draw symbols, light candles, and recite incantations. Others require that a bowl of assorted ingredients and blood be lit on fire. Then there's the ritual to summon Samhain. This one gets really specific. First, it should be known that this demon can only be summoned once every 600 years, so be sure you've got the right calendar before starting. Most times you bring him about, you'll need a few super strong magic users. Also, it's important that whoever's going forward with this summoning ritual hides themselves from angels. Samhain is powerful enough that the celestial beings of light need to be watching at all times. Then you've got to sacrifice 3 people over the course of 3 days. Of course, the final blood sacrifice has to happen on Halloween. When else would you complete a crazy summoning ritual? Thanksgiving? Grow up. During this time, some more classic ritual stuff needs to happen. Blood is to be collected in a chalice. An old Celtic incantation is chanted. There are black candles, goat skulls, pentagrams, and special minerals. And this isn't some little piddly summon, it's a crazy one. If you get all the steps right, then the earth will crack and Samhain can arrive, taking full possession of his meat suit. Isn't that a fun phrase, a meat suit? And right back to the Halloween requirement, Samhain is the origin of Halloween. We wouldn't be celebrating the holiday without him. Of course, bringing him to life means that we'll be dealing with a few more ghosts, ghouls, and zombies than usual, but I suppose that is to be expected around Halloween. Coming in at number 3, we've got entering a basement. This just seems to happen in a lot of horror movies, huh? Some folks head on down into a creepy cellar through a hidden door, and there's an artifact waiting there for them. It might be a book, or it could be an enchanted orb. Touch it, read it, or break it, the results are all the same. Demons. Or ghosts, ghouls, and goblins, but that's kind of beside the point. It happened in The Evil Dead when the Naturam de Monto is found and a recording of incantations is played. It happened in Wishmaster when the fire opal is polished. And it happened and has happened every year for ages in the Cabin in the Woods thanks to that lovely cellar full of cursed antiquities. The best thing about these demon summoning rituals is that they're so simple, any idiot can do them. In fact, that's probably the expectation in the first place. Why bother with the planning and the learning to draw sigils and the spilling of blood when you can just crack open a book and watch the sparks fly? Plus, with this knowledge, entering any spooky basement immediately becomes step 1 in your demon summoning ritual. There's always the chance you're going to stumble across some artifact that will irrevocably alter the course of your destiny. Isn't that an exciting thought? What kind of demon would you summon from the basement? I like the idea of winding up a cursed music box and dealing with the consequences. Coming in at number 2, you can torture a family. Unlike entering a basement, torturing a family to summon a demon takes a little more finesse. You've got to know and understand the demon you're going for and ensure that the victims really don't know what's going on until the last possible moment. Take the cult in Hereditary. They had this all planned out from the start. Like, it literally took them years to put this summoning ritual together. In the end, we get a lovely saxophone wail by the one and only Colin Stetson, and Paimon finds his way into a proper male host. But how did they make it happen? We follow the Graham family for most of the flick, meaning that we're not exactly privy to the details of the ritual. Thankfully, Madeline Aguilar interviewed some witches for The Cut to find out a little more. Turns out that Paimon is listed in a Solomonic grimoire, which sort of outlines what he does and how to summon him. A summoner would need to draw a magical circle around themselves and a triangle just outside of it. They've got to be wearing the correct seal and be ready to offer the demon all sorts of stuff upon arrival. Plus, there might even be some additional demon managing involved. If you remove Paimon, who was once considered a king of hell, who was going to cover for him? It's just like real life work, but more supernatural. As is the case in most situations, the movie summoning was a little different from real life summoning, but still, going behind a family's back to switch the souls of their 2 children by decapitating one and possessing the other is a pretty crazy ritual. Then there's the whole nude old people lurking in an empty house bit. That's a little less fun in my opinion, but maybe I'll understand when I get older. Finally, at number 1, we've got revenge. I haven't done any extensive canvassing to find out if this is true or not, but I feel as though revenge is a primary driving force behind plenty of demonic summons. Don't quote me on that, but consider the implications. People want a lot of things. A large automobile, a beautiful house, a beautiful wife, but not everyone's willing to put it all on the line to acquire those things. However, once someone is possessed by a need for revenge, there isn't much that will prevent them from getting it. So if they have to summon a demon and give up their future, so be it. Revenge will be served. A prime example of a revenge-fueled ritual has to be that in the movie Pumpkinhead. Poor old Ed Harley loses his son to some rowdy dirt bikers and swears he'll get them for this. There are no rituals for bringing his son back, but there are rituals for getting revenge. He learns this from the old witch Haggis, who tells him that vengeance comes at a terrible price. Ed is fine with this and uses his son's blood mixed with his own to turn a corpse into the demon known as Pumpkinhead. Thus begins a horrifying rampage fueled by blood, one that can only be stopped by completing the ritual. And the only way to do that is for the man who summoned the demon to die. Ed Harley, who summoned a demon for revenge, realizes that it wasn't the right call. He ends up taking the place of Pumpkinhead in the grave. But revenge will bring this creature back again. There's a sequel after all. Well, I hope I didn't give you folks too many bright ideas. Summoning demons is serious business. But hey, you're on the watch list now. There's no going back. So what'd you think of the list? What kind of summoning ritual do you prefer? The simple ones or the extremely complicated? I think each has its own pros and cons.
Number 5 on this list is the ritual to the other side. This is a ritual performed to let you experience a little bit of the demon world. Now, unlike some of the other demonic rituals on this list, it's relatively tame, and your life, it's not going to be at stake. However, the mental strain that it can have on you can be extremely costing. You're going to need a sizable mirror, enough that you can put both of your hands flat on it while still seeing your upper body, a completely pitch black room with absolutely no light whatsoever, a singular candle, but one that isn't too large and won't illuminate the whole room, just something where you can see yourself. Also, an alarm and somewhere to sleep. Now, after you have your items, go take a nap. You want to set your alarm for roughly 2 hours of sleep so that when you wake up, you are decently dazed and not fully aware. Right when you wake up, go to your room with your mirror and make it pitch black. Then light your candle and have it somewhere out of sight, just enough light that you can make out your face in the mirror. You want to place both hands on the mirror roughly shoulder width apart and start to stare at yourself. Focus on yourself. Your focus needs to be impeccable if you want this to work. Now start to alter your breathing. A slow breathe in and a longer exhale. You want your mind and your body to go completely blank and feel as if they're exiting your body. If you're doing all of this properly, then you should start to feel subtle vibrations in your hands that ring throughout your arms. This should be followed by your face starting to distort as if you were hallucinating. Now is when the real images start though. People have reported seeing flashes of loved ones who have died where they're supposed to be standing in the mirror, or have their own bodies start to morph into a demon. Sounds and voices will begin to ring throughout the supposedly silent room, and in extreme cases, your entire room will morph itself into a fiery hell. You've now calmed your mind to a state where it is capable of comprehending the demon realm, and you are in it. Now, it's relatively easy to snap out of this place and no harm will come to you, but that's not the case for some people. This experience can be extremely jarring and haunt people for the rest of their lives. In very rare cases, people who have tried this have descended into a deep depression or even madness. I can only imagine that knowing what is on the other side and what could be potentially waiting for us is a very scary place to be. Sometimes, guys, ignorance truly is bliss. Number 4 on this list is a game called the Devil's Game. In this ritual, you will basically be summoning the devil, and summoning the devil can be extremely dangerous. To perform the Devil's Game, you will need a few items. A can of salt, 7 candles, red or white is preferred, a lighter or match to light those candles, some red string, it could be rope or yarn if that's what you have, but the color has to be red. You'll also need a full-length mirror. Mirrors are pretty common in these rituals, by the way. And lastly, this must be done in a church, and it must be done at midnight when you do it. Also, you are not allowed to have anything electronic or any religious paraphernalia that may help you, like holy water. Now take your salt and surround the mirror on the ground. Then wrap your mirror with the red string. Take your candles and light them and space them out around the mirror as well. All of these things are actually to help protect you from the devil. The summoning you still have to do. To summon the devil, you actually have to do something sacrilegious in the church. This could be anything, but I think the easiest would be some sort of vandalism. Do that and then close all the doors to the room and kill the lights so that you're only lit by the candles. Close your eyes now and count to 10 with the distinct image of the devil in your mind. After you reach 10, open them. You should be staring directly at the devil in the mirror in place of yourself. Now, the devil didn't come all of this way just to look at you. He wants to play, and the game is a simple question and answer game. If you get something right, he'll answer your questions truthfully, but it's not that easy. This is the devil, and the questions that he asks will be specifically made to stump you. In fact, the questions that he asks will be ones that you're never 100% sure that you know the answer to, and therefore you can never be 100% sure if he is telling the truth to you or a lie when he answers your questions. So when you ask him, "How am I gonna die?" and he answers with, "You're gonna get hit by a bus," is that the truth? Or is that a lie? You're never gonna know, and for the rest of your life, you will most likely be petrified of buses. Occasionally, he will also dare you to do something. Now this is interesting because if you complete the dare, you will know for certain that the next thing you ask him will be true. If you do the dare, you could ask him next week's winning lottery numbers and he'd have to tell you the truth. But the dare he gives you, it's not going to be pleasant. Self-harm, hurting those that you love, completely going against any morals that you thought you had, those are all completely on the table. You could stand to gain a lot from this game, however you could also stand to lose a lot or gain absolutely nothing at all, just a bunch of paranoia. Anytime you summon the devil, it's a bad idea, and the devil's game is no different. Number 3 on this list is Veronica's game. Now Veronica's game is a demonic ritual that will summon Veronica, a demon girl who died playing a very similar game many years ago. To get this demon's attention, you will need a few items. A mirror, again, a clock, a quiet room, a candle. This ritual will also require you to perform it at midnight, just like the other ones. Have the mirror set up in your quiet room so that it's at eye level with you. At exactly midnight, light the candle and stare into the mirror. Veronica. Veronica. You have to repeat her name 9 times, staring at yourself in the mirror. After you have done so, extinguish the candle and leave the room. Now, why is this called a game? I don't really understand, because there's really nothing fun about it at all. She's with you now. The demon Veronica is now there with you, and whenever you are by yourself, you will feel her presence. You have just awoken a demon who doesn't want to be awake right now, and she's going to haunt you. You'll feel the temperature start to drop whenever you're by yourself. You may hear sounds that you can't identify or sense movement that you don't understand. It's said that if you ever make fun of Veronica in any way, then that's going to be the last thing that you do. This demon supposedly carries around a pair of scissors at all times and will use them on you if she ever feels that you're taunting her. This demonic ritual should absolutely never be performed because you stand absolutely nothing to gain and potentially your life to lose. Number 2 on this list is a ritual performed by a bunch of high school students in 1986. Now this ritual has less to do about the otherworldly things that you may summon and more to do with the fact that this is just wrong and you shouldn't ever do this. 12 high school students were linked to a demonic ritual with the goal of praising Satan and cleansing the world of what Satan or these students may qualify as unworthy. These students had found an abandoned house that they painted black and used that as their main base of operations. They painted it black as apparently a way of keeping the badness in and the goodness out. It was here that they had been performing several demonic rituals for months. One of their rituals, though, culminated on the witch's Sabbath. They had been preparing for this day for quite a while, drawing blood circles in their abandoned home, and speaking various incantations to please their devilish lord. The final act, though, involved a sacrifice. On the witch's Sabbath, one of the 12 high school students, a 15-year-old, snuck into an older student's bedroom with a shotgun and used him for the sacrifice. Yeah, this entry gets kinda real. This was their demonic sacrifice meant to appease the devil. Now I can't say for certain whether the actual ritual worked because there's currently no knowledge on that. But what I do know is that the 15-year-old and those involved went to jail for a very long period of time. I also know that a 17-year-old boy who had absolutely nothing to do with anything died. Like I said, this one on the list is less about what you may summon and the consequences with that, but more about the fact that you should just never do this. And the fact that people thought this was a good idea, it's just complete insanity. Number 1 on this list is a ritual performed by 2 high school students, Mike and Sid. Now although Mike and Sid kind of sounds like a great name for a sitcom or like a really good cop show, these guys get a little bit darker than that. Longtime high school friends and big fans of the horror movie genre in general, one evening they stumble upon a ritual on a deep part of the internet. The goal is to summon a demon. Even though the boys have a deep respect for demons and don't want to mess around, it's promised online that this demon will be thankful for being summoned and won't cause you any harm. What you need for this ritual is a frog and a specific incantation in a language called Enochian. I couldn't find the specific incantation that the boys used, and frankly, I mean, it's probably a good thing that this information is difficult to locate. Grab your frog by its hind legs. This is gonna be difficult because it has to still be alive when you are doing this. Stick it directly into sunlight and begin to speak your Enochian incantation. Now, I kind of hate this next part because I love animals, but as you're speaking your hex, kill the frog. Let the blood of the frog drop to the ground. If your spell is working, then you will notice pretty rapidly that the frog itself will start to wither up and shrink. Now it's said that this should summon a demon in front of you. However, when the boys did this, that's not what happened. Sid was watching as Mike uttered the final words to their ritual. After it was done, Mike stood there for a moment, silently, with the dead, withered up frog in his hands, until he twisted his head 180 degrees backwards and stared directly at Sid with his eyes rolled completely back in his head. Then, without warning, he lunged after Sid in a fully unnatural, inhuman way, spitting and cursing as he did. Sid dodged him and ran out of the house as fast as he could, not stopping for 10 whole minutes. After an hour of waiting and regaining his courage, he carefully made his way back to go check on his friend. Mike was lying completely naked with scratches all over his body, unconscious in the middle of the basement. When he woke up, he had absolutely no memory of the entire incident at all, and doesn't know how he got there. Number 5 on this list is the closet game. This is a game where you can make it so that your closet is forever haunted by a demon, because apparently this is desirable to some people. In fact, the entire point of the game is to simply summon a demon. It's very simple and you won't need a whole lot of things to make it work. First things first, you're gonna need a closet, and this is where you're gonna be summoning your demon and where it's going to stay for the rest of your life, assuming that you perform the ritual properly. You are also going to need a box of matches. Get your matches and head to the closet. Now you need to make sure that all the light in that room that your closet is located in is off. Having any light around will interrupt the ritual and it won't work. Get inside your closet and close the door. You should be in complete darkness at this point. Take one of your matches and hold it up to your face. Don't light it yet, just have your match there and ready to go for when you do need it. Now say the following words: "Show me the light or leave me in darkness." Those are the words, and once you say those, you should begin to notice a serious presence in your environment. You will start to hear whispers as if somebody is standing behind you and whispering in your ear. The second that you hear that, and this is very important, you have to light your match immediately. It's said that if you don't light it quickly enough or at the exact right moment, then the demon that you have just summoned to your closet will grab you from behind and pull you back into the darkness. Now, assuming that you did light your match okay and you haven't been pulled straight back to hell, then the whispers should stop and now you can safely exit your closet. However, now your closet is literally forever haunted by that demon. So yeah, this is gonna go on the should never perform list for me, because literally best case scenario is that you survive the ritual and now you just have to forever fear going and getting clothes from your closet. Number 4 on this list is the 11-mile game. This game is actually done in your car or on your motorcycle, so a little change from our standard get in a room and turn the lights off sort of ritual. That being said though, it does have to be performed at night, and you also have to be alone in your vehicle. You're gonna have to take your car out into the woods, drive down the wooded roads, and keep your mind open. Eventually you will come upon a road, and you're gonna have to recognize that this is the 11-mile road. There isn't going to be any bright flashing neon signs, so that's where your intuition has to come into play. Once you turn down the 11-mile road, there is no going back until you finish it, so ready yourself and then begin your drive. You have to make sure that your radio is off, same with your phone, and also have all your doors and your windows shut. As you're driving, things will begin to happen. The first mile, there's nothing, it's just a standard road, but by the time you get to the 4th mile, you may start to hear voices or notice movements in the darkness. Keep your eyes on the road and keep driving. By the 8th mile, your headlights will be flickering, the voices will be incredibly loud, maybe even from your back seat. You may see bright lights from the forest. Just keep your eyes on the road and keep driving. By the 10th mile, don't look in the mirror, don't look in the back seat. Your car may even stall and stop, but you can't panic. Quickly turn it off and then turn it back on and keep driving, because you can't stay in one place for very long. Last mile is the 11th mile, and your car will assuredly stall. You just have to tune everything out. Voices, feelings, sensations. Ignore everything. Close your eyes if you have to. Plug your ears. Whatever you have to do so that you don't look at anything. Just get your car operating again and keep driving. If you make it through the 11th mile, then you will reach a dead end in the road. And here is where you can finally stop. At this point, you've just made it through the 11-mile road and you are granted with one wish that will manifest something physical inside your car. This ritual is only extremely dangerous if your focus shifts for any moment. If you trust your ability to stay super calm under the type of demonic pressure you would be experiencing from the 11th mile, then that's up to you. But just know that if you do stop or you do look at something, then the consequences could be very dire. Number 3 on this list is the gambler's game. Now honestly guys, this is actually one that I would be very interested in as somebody who likes to gamble. This one kind of sounds fun. However, you gotta know your life will be on the line, so probably not the best idea. How it works is super simple. You will need a deck of cards, a quiet room, a table, and 2 chairs. You want to set the table up so that there's nothing on it except for the pack of cards and chairs facing across from one another. Sit in your chair and look at the empty one across the table from you. Open up your cards and shuffle them thoroughly. Do not try to cheat. You have to play fair. At the end of the day, you are gambling here. Now the game that you actually play is up to you, so you might have a slight advantage there. However, it's said that the gambler, who you're going to play with, prefers blackjack and may even take it easy on you if that's the game you choose. Pick the game and deal out the cards to yourself and to the empty seat. Now very simply, look across at your invisible partner and say, "Let's play." If the gambler feels like playing, then you should feel a chill in the air, like a strong breeze. That means that he's across the table from you now and you can continue. You won't be able to see him, he will still be invisible. Also, if you don't feel a chill in the air, don't bother continuing, there won't be anybody there. Once he's there though and accepted to play with you, the wager from your end is your life. Proceed by playing the game as you would. You'll have to move his hand for him, but once again, don't cheat. You will die if you do. If the game progresses and you lose, then the gambler won't waste any time at all. You will be killed on the spot. If the game progresses though and you win, and this is the good part, you can now take the top card off the deck and cut open your index finger on one hand. Once you've drawn blood, then congratulations, that hand is now your lucky hand. If you head to a casino and you play blackjack and you pick up the cards with that hand, you will turn a made hand. If you throw a die, same deal, they will land on your number. Basically now you have exceptional gambling luck for the rest of your life, and you could in turn become extremely rich. You still shouldn't do this though, because you are betting your life to begin with and you could very easily lose to a professional demon gambler. But the reward at the end is amazing. Now all this could just be a major hoax on the internet. Like if you think about it, he's invisible the whole time and you just have to move his cards. Like that's basically just solitaire. So I'm not totally sure, but we might never know, because I personally do not want to risk my life and test the theory. Number 2 on this list is the Dry Bones Ritual. This game is super similar to the Midnight Man game, if you've ever heard of that one. The idea is pretty simple. Hide and seek with a demon with potentially life or death stakes. That, in my opinion, doesn't sound so great. However, if you win, then you do get something pretty special. It's said that if you're able to win this hide and seek game, then the demon Dry Bones will grant you one wish of your choosing, so you could stand to gain quite a bit. If you're gonna do this, then it has to be done at exactly 12:01 a.m. You have to make sure that every door in your home is firmly locked. This goes for the windows as well. All electronics, lights, radios, anything that is typically plugged in, that has to be turned off as well. Once this is done, focus your mind on the wish that you want. It has to be something realistic, because it's going to show up outside your door when the game is over if you win. Once you've done that and made it clear in your brain, light a match. If this match doesn't burn out in less than 15 seconds, so it has to stay lit for 15 seconds, then Dry Bones has decided that it will play with you tonight. Now, lie on the ground and say, "I am aware of your presence, and I welcome you into my home, but not my body. Come now." If you hear a deep echoing moan, then it is on its way. It's at this point that you would better run and you better hide, and you gotta make sure that it's good, because you have to stay hidden until 3 a.m. that same morning. If you are capable of lasting until 3, then come out and say, "Thank you for playing, but please leave now. You are no longer welcome." You have then won the game, and you can now go find your wish granted outside of your home. If it finds you in that 3 hours though, no one actually knows what happens. You might die, you might be petrified, maybe something nice even happens, I'm not sure. Although I certainly would not want to be the person to find out. Number 1 on this list is Blue Baby Blue. Now, Blue Baby Blue is very similar to Bloody Mary, except now you'll be summoning a demon baby, so that's something, I guess. As with many of these rituals, this will be taking place in a dark room with a mirror. Now, the dark room actually has to be a bathroom because you're gonna need access to a toilet. If you don't have a toilet, then you're probably gonna die. Here's what you have to do. Go into your bathroom and lock the door. Turn all the lights out so that you should be in complete darkness. Now, you will need just a slight bit of light to see some sort of reflection in the mirror, so either wait for your eyes to adjust or I guess bring in a very small candle with you. Now, stick out both of your hands as if you were holding something in front of you. Look into the mirror and repeat this 13 times. Baby blue, blue baby. That's 1. Do that 13 times without fail, which is actually kind of hard. Baby blue, blue baby, baby blue, blue baby. Yeah, that would be difficult. But if you make a mistake and trip up on your words, then it said that it won't work. So you're gonna have to start again if you do that. If you do make it through that part of the ritual, then in your outstretched arms, you should feel a weight has just formed. You won't be able to see it, but you will very clearly feel that you are now holding a demon baby. Now you have to make sure that that thing is far away from you, because if it's close enough, then it's gonna scratch, it's gonna claw, it's gonna rip out your hair. It's not a pleasant baby. After a little while of feeling the weight in your arms and hopefully it not clawing the crap out of you, you're gonna start to hear crying coming from inside your head. This is your cue to take the baby, drop that thing in the toilet, and flush it out of here. It's said that if you don't do that part fast enough, kind of similarly to our previous example with the matches, then you're gonna be in trouble. If you wait a little bit too long, then a hideous looking woman is gonna appear in the mirror. She's gonna stare straight at you and yell, "Give me back my baby." That scream is said to be so loud that it will break the glass of the mirror, and then she will step straight into your bathroom and murder you. Definitely not a good freaking time, if you ask me. Number 5 on this list is Sugiura. Sugiura is a Japanese fortune-telling ritual that's goal is to tell the user their future. To do this, you're gonna need to summon what many people believe is an undead spirit or a demon, and whenever you do that, there are always some risks involved. You're gonna need a few things to perform this ritual. A comb, something to cover your face with, not just a mask, but your entire face has to be covered, and to be at a crossroads that won't be busy. Head to the crossroads with your comb and your face covering. You'll want to get there around 11:50 at night. When the clock hits midnight, take your comb and stroke the teeth of it so that it makes some noise. Then say the following words: Sugiura, Sugiura, grant me a true response. Now wait, it may take a little while, so you have to be patient. If nobody approaches the crossroads or someone you know approaches the crossroads, then sadly the ritual did not work and you can go home. If a stranger approaches though, then it did work, and you have just summoned an undead spirit. Once you see them in the distance, immediately throw your face covering on. When you feel their presence beside you, kindly ask them to tell you your fortune. They should do so, and you will receive an insight into what is to come. The thing about fortunes though is that a lot of times you're not gonna like what you hear. We always have these lofty expectations that assume life will always be better than it is right now. Well, what if you knew for certain that it's actually gonna be worse and there isn't anything that you can do about it? That's one of the reasons why you shouldn't do this ritual, because knowing what comes can take the meaning out of life. This is also a demonic ritual where you're summoning an undead spirit. It doesn't always go the way that you want it to, and on occasion people have reported that the spirit that they summoned wasn't the one that they expected. Similar to how demons can hijack Ouija board experiences, they could do the exact same thing here. Number 4 on this list is the concentration ritual. This is a pretty strange one where you'll actually learn how you're going to die. If you want to do this, then you won't be able to do it by yourself. You're going to need another person to help you. Close your eyes and clear your mind. Have your friend stand behind you and lightly pound your back as they begin the concentration chant. Now for this video, I'm not going to go through the entire chant because it's actually really long, but to sum it up, there are 5 verses that act as a way of hypnotizing you and sending your spirit away from your body. When it finishes, your friend from behind you will give you a light push that should make you stumble and fall forward. As you're regaining your balance, open your eyes and you should see a color. The color that you see determines how you're gonna die. For instance, red means that somebody's gonna stab you. White means that you will die of old age and you'll go to heaven, whereas black means that you'll die of old age and go to hell. The thing about this game is that you'll never know when this is going to happen to you. So you may learn that you're gonna die from being stabbed, but never know when or by who. So for the rest of your life, you will be living in constant paranoia of somebody stabbing you. I think when it comes to death, ignorance truly is bliss, and learning about how you can die can only ever make your life worse right now. Number 3 on this list is the elevator game. The elevator game is a demonic ritual of sorts that is supposed to grant you the ability to enter another world. This other world is considered by most to be a demon realm. The game itself started in Korea, but has slowly gained more intrigue across the world from people looking to potentially enter hell. To do this, you'll need an elevator in a building that's at least 10 stories tall. The building that you're in should ideally be as empty as possible. Get in your elevator and then proceed to these following floors in order. First, you go to the 4th floor, then you descend to the 2nd floor. Then up to the 6th, and then back down to the 2nd, and then go all the way up to the 10th floor, and then finally back down to the 5th. Now at the 5th floor is when things get interesting. People have done this and have reported having an encounter with a woman. This woman looks normal on the outside, but I promise you that she isn't to be trusted. She will enter the elevator from the 5th floor and do anything she can to gain your attention. This could come in the form of flattery, or she may even antagonize you, but whatever you do, do not pay her any mind at all. There doesn't seem to be a conclusive answer to what happens if you speak to her. However, death or an eternal haunting, these are very much on the table. Once she enters and you don't speak to her, press the 1st floor. If you descend to the 1st floor, get out of the elevator and don't look back. You weren't accepted into the other world. If the elevator starts to go up when you press the 1st floor though, then congratulations. You just made it into the demon realm. The elevator will rise to floor 10, and when the doors open, you will find yourself staring out at a very different version of the 10th floor. From my understanding, it looks very similar to the other side in the popular sci-fi television show Stranger Things. The lights will be out, darkness will flood the space. Apparently some people have reported seeing a red cross if you look out the windows. If you want to get back, then just repeat the steps that you did to get there and you should make it back home. Now this could all just be an elaborate prank to get people to hop in an elevator and waste their entire day by going up and down floors. Because if somebody hops in the elevator, then you have to stop and do it all over again. However, in 2013, a Canadian student died in an elevator, and when people watched back the footage, she was acting very strangely in the elevator prior to dying, almost as if she was being possessed. None of these rituals are an exact science, and any time you attempt to go to another world, expect there to be some potential consequences. Number 2 on this list is the 3 Kings. The 3 Kings is a ritual that should transport one person to an unknown dimension where they may get clarity on their past or future. Now for this ritual, you're gonna need a lot of things to make it work. A room without any outside light at all, a candle, a bucket of water, 2 sizable mirrors, an alarm clock, 3 chairs, a cell phone, and a friend that you trust. Yeah, I know, it's a lot of stuff. At around 11 at night, start setting up your ritual. Set up the chair in the middle of your room facing north and put the other 2 chairs next to it facing the same way. Take your mirrors and put them sitting in the chairs facing outwards. Have the bucket of water close by your chair. Now once all of this is done, it's time for you to go to sleep. Sleep until 3:30 a.m. in the morning. You must wake up precisely at that time and then head over to that room. Close the door and sit in the middle chair with your candle now lit. You should have your friend waiting outside of the door of the room that you're in. Now if all of this has been done correctly, this is when you should start to hear some voices. They'll be coming from the mirrors on either side of you, but it's very important that you do not look at these mirrors or make eye contact with whomever is speaking. You just have to keep staring ahead and try to stay calm. One of these voices will be the fool and one will be the queen. You in this scenario are the king. Being the king, you are allowed to ask questions that you would like to be answered. One of these beings will answer the questions. The problem is that you're never going to know who is who. The queen will tell you the truth, whereas the fool will lie to you. Not knowing who is who and having no way to find out makes it very difficult to discern the truth to these questions. Sometimes they may even respond to your question with one of their own, in which case you're obligated to reply. You will be able to speak to these beings for 1 hour, and right as that hour is up, your friend on the outside needs to get your attention. They should knock first, then try to call you. If you haven't responded to either of those, they need to come inside and throw the bucket of water on you. You may not respond to any of these initially because it's said that this ritual can bring you into a very deep trance. A trance that makes that hour you're sitting there feel like an eternity. An entire lifetime where you're stuck in your own mind sitting in that chair. Considering you don't even know if these answers are true or not, the risk is just not worth the reward for this ritual. Number 1 on this list is the corner game. This may be classified as a game, however it is basically a summoning ritual to bring a demon or ghostly spirit to our world. You can't perform this one on your own. You're going to need to have 4 people in total if you want to do this. You're also going to need access to a house without anything living in it other than you and your 3 friends. Turn off all the lights in your building or your home except for the ones in the room that you've chosen to perform the ritual. This room that you've chosen to do your ritual in, it has to have exactly 4 corners. Can't have any more, can't have any less. Head into your room and speak your name 3 times as you enter. Now before you enter the room, you'll have chosen a speaker. From here on out, after you've said your names, they are the only person that's allowed to say anything. Once you're inside and you've all repeated your names, close the door and turn off the lights. Everyone has to go to a corner of their choosing now and face into it with their backs to the center of the room. The speaker will then count to 3, and after they have done so, everyone has to move to the next corner of the room in a clockwise direction without looking at the center of the room. Do this exactly 4 times so that you end up in the same corner that you started in. Once this is completed, you will feel the presence of a figure in the center of the room. This is the demon or ghostly spirit that you've just summoned. Now what's kind of ridiculous about this is that you've just summoned this being, but you're not actually allowed to turn around and look at it. You have to remain with your back to the wall and just feel its presence. After you've had enough, you need to do the completion procedure, which is where everyone says their full name backwards 3 times, and then one by one, exit the room hoping that the being doesn't follow you or isn't still there. People trying this game have reported having one of their members disappear and not being able to get them back. People have also said that sometimes the room is now forever haunted by this thing that you just summoned. Either way, I would never do this because you literally can't even see the demon that you just brought here. You go through all of this trouble, risk your life to just stand with your back to the room, staring at a corner. Not really my idea of a good time.
Number 5 on this list is the Red Book Ritual, or also called the Game of the Red Book. This is another one of our classic rituals where we're going to be contacting a spirit to answer questions and potentially tell us the future. The ritual originated in Mexico and has been part of local Mexican lore for years. As we've seen throughout this series of demonic rituals you should never perform, whenever you contact a spirit, whatever the method, there are consequences. The Game of the Red Book is no different. To perform this ritual, you'll need a red hardcover book that you've never read with no pictures in it. At least 1 candle to light whatever room you choose to perform your ritual, and at least 1 other person to perform that ritual with. Head into your room with your partner or group of people that you're going to be doing this with and sit either across from one another or in a circle surrounding the book. Light your candle and have it be the only light in the room. Whoever wants to go first, grab the book, place your palm on the cover of it and say, "Red Book, can I enter your game?" Then, with your eyes closed, flip to a part of the book and put your finger on that page. Open your eyes and read the sentence. If this is a positive sentence, something you'll need to interpret, then you can play the game. If it's a negative sentence, then you're either not permitted to play or you're going to need to try again. Assuming that it's positive, you can now ask a different question to the red book. Repeat the process that you just did, and the spirit on the other side should guide your finger to a sentence in the book that will answer your question. This ritual doesn't seem too dangerous, however there have been stories of people going missing after this game, or the red book not allowing you to stop playing the game, and if you try to leave, bringing on dire consequences. Number 4 on this list is the picture game. This is a demonic ritual where the goal is to capture a ghost or a demon on camera. For this to work, you're going to need a wide array of unique items. Some string long enough to make a circle out of it, scissors, a small mirror for you and every person who intends to partake in this ritual, a camera with a flash, but it can't be a phone, it's got to be an actual camera, a glass to drink out of, some wine, and a quiet room. Once you have all of these things in place, you and the others doing this will want to start at midnight. Tie your string into a circle and place it in the center of your room. Put your glass in the center of it and fill it with the wine that you brought. Have everybody sit around the circle and place your mirror in front of yourself facing up towards the ceiling. Now that you're in position, grab each other's hands and go around the circle one by one saying, "I trust you." After you've done this once, you can grab your camera. Now one by one, take that camera and point it into the middle of the circle and say, "I caught you," right as you take a picture. The entire group should do this individually 3 times so that everybody has taken 3 pictures. Don't look at the pictures after you've taken them, just keep going around the circle. Now after everybody's done this 3 times, you once again need to go down the circle and say, "It's time to go home." Once everybody's done this, grab your scissors and cut open the string circle. Take the wine outside and dump it onto a patch of earth. This action ultimately ends the ritual. When everything is done, you can look at your pictures now, and it's said that if you're lucky, you will have caught a ghost or a demon in one or a few of them. All of this seems pretty tame, but there are some risks involved, of course. During the process of the ceremony, there have been reports of people in the circle getting hysterical. So much so that they start crying and losing their minds as if they've been taken over by someone else. This can be excruciatingly painful as well, with reports of people clawing themselves until they start to bleed. If you do manage to get through the ritual without a hitch, then you could come out with a cool photo, but it may not be worth it. Number 3 on this list is the Ouija board. I haven't put the Ouija board on a previous list yet because I imagine you're all decently familiar with it, but considering we're on part 4, I think it's time to bring it up. The Ouija board was patented in 1891 and has been a staple in ghost stories for the 125 years that it's been in existence. The Ouija board, or the spirit board as some like to call it, has been paraded as a tool that can be used to contact the dead and speak with spirits. This board was initially made by Hasbro as a toy for kids, but many people nowadays associate it with the work of the devil. Using a Ouija board is quite simple, honestly. The board is typically structured where it has the words yes and no in the top corners. It has the words goodbye at the bottom of the board, and in the middle of it there's the entire alphabet along with the numbers 0 through 9. The board will also come with a planchette, and this is what you'll be using to spell out the answers to your questions. Get at least one other friend and place your hands on this device. Then begin asking simple questions to the board. You'll notice that the board will begin to respond and the planchette will start to move, even though you'll not be initiating the movement yourself. If this does happen, then you have now contacted a demon or a spirit. The problem with this board is that many people try and contact specific individuals, and it truly isn't that simple. A Ouija board is really like a scary dice roll. You may get lucky and contact the spirit of your grandmother who had passed, or you may get unlucky and contact a demon. The amount of stories associated with a Ouija board where things have gone wrong is truly endless. In fact, I made an entire video about it on this channel, top 5 scary demonic messages from a Ouija board. If you want to hear specifics on how crazy this thing can get, then definitely go and check that out. But my recommendation in that video and in this one is to never use one yourself. Number 2 on this list is the Dream of the Dead. The Dream of the Dead is a ritual performed by yourself as a means to hear what the dead have to say. This ritual is a little sneaky. It can only be performed on Halloween, so if you want to do it, then you're going to have to wait a whole nother year to try. To do this, you'll need 4 candles and something to light them with. Salt, an alarm clock, a picture of the person you want to connect with, and a safe place to sleep. You'll want to start setting up your room at around 9 p.m. on Halloween night. Clear the room of any electronics and make space on the floor. Spread your salt in a circle on the ground of the area you want to sleep. If you're sleeping in a bed, then make the circle around the bed. Place the picture you have beneath the pillow that you're going to use. Light your candles in a separate part of the room in a rectangle big enough for you to sit inside. Now that everything is set, you can begin. Go to your rectangle of candles and place yourself inside of it. Close your eyes and think about a group of people that are dead that are now surrounding you. Think about this image and say the words, "On this night of nights, I call the gatekeeper, divider of the realm of the living and the dead, and I demand communion with the peaceful dead." Now, go to your bed and sleep. Once you fall asleep, you should see the person whose picture is beneath your pillow. They will appear in your dream and speak to you. Don't speak back, just listen to what they have to say. The problem with this ritual is that sometimes it isn't that person who you intended, kind of similarly to the Ouija board. People have also reported feeling trapped in this dream, like it's never ending and their whole lives are being spent in this dream, or at least that's what it feels like to them. I think hearing from the dead could be cool, but I personally would not want to risk a harrowing experience with a demon in my dreams. Number 1 on this list is Sara Sarita. Sara Sarita is a ritual that originated in Spain and is used as a method of gaining information from a dead spirit. Whomst Sara Sarita is somewhat up in the air. Now, some people believe that Sara Sarita is one person and that she's the daughter of Lucifer. Others believe that Sara and Sarita are 2 different people, sisters that were brutally murdered, and now play this game with the living. Whether it be the daughter of Lucifer or 2 dead girls, you will be dealing with demon spirits, and that can always go wrong. To perform this ritual, you're gonna need 1 other friend. You also need 2 standard coins. Now, do not try to rig the coins so they're weighted, or you'll be killed. You and your friend can start at any time of the day. You just need to sit on the ground of whatever area you've chosen and say in unison, "Sara Sarita, may I enter your game?" Then, simultaneously, flip your coins. If both land heads up, then you can continue going. If both land tails up, then you stop immediately and do not proceed. If one is heads and one is tails, then it's said that you can continue, but do so with caution. Assuming you got both heads up, then proceed by asking Sara Sarita some yes or no questions. You need to go one by one, and you should never speak over yourselves. Ask her a yes or no question, and then both flip your coins. The same logic follows as before. Heads is a yes, tails are a no, and if they differ, then it's a maybe. When you've had enough, you must ask Sara Sarita, may I leave your game? Then flip your coins and continue to ask this question until you get heads. Leaving early, that's a big no-no, so don't do that. The ritual here isn't too dangerous, but it's what has happened after this ritual. People have reported getting haunted by some sort of demon figure following this game, or hearing voices in their heads that won't go away. Sara Sarita, whoever it is assuredly a demon.
Starting this list as fantastical as possible, this is a board game commissioned by a vampire. It's said to exist somewhere, but hasn't been rumored to be around since the 70s. Although, if that's true, it's an extraordinarily sturdy board game, as it was created at some point in the 1700s. Jacques de Morte means game of death, of course, and was created to ease the boredom of one Prince Dracula of Wallachia. Our 2nd generation vampire was bored of the ins and outs of daily murder and bloodbath. He wanted a real challenge, one that couldn't be provided by his cushy vampire air lifestyle. So he reached out to the sorcerer Dimitri Diablo, who took up the challenge to create the ultimate supernatural board game of death. He slaved over the coals of hell for over a year before coming up with the definitive death-dealing, dice-rolling, Dracula-pleasing experience. The first playthrough was attended by Dracula, Dimitri, another vampire, a witch, a lycan, and a human. The playing board takes you through a damned castle and surrounding cursed forest. There are dice, riddle cards, and a magic crystal ball to move the game along. Sounds pretty boilerplate for board games, but just you wait. Magical beings will materialize during play and attack the participants. Demons, poltergeists, vampires, werewolves, zombies, and more will show up as active astral projections. While warding off these aggressors, players will quest for the devil's unholy grail, said to give a pure evil soul the ultimate power while damning the rest straight to hell. High stakes, to say the least. On this initial playthrough, only Dracula and Dimitri survived, to the prince's great delight. After a while, as all princes do, Dracula got bored of his new toy and sent it off to the human world for a laugh. Humans, without the powers associated with being a vampire prince, are easily haunted and possessed by the beings that inhabit this game, causing all sorts of trouble. Coming back to that last sighting in the 70s, it killed 43 people, despite only 6 actively playing. Although, it did happen at Iowa, which at least added some excitement to their dry, boring lives. Sorry Iowa, it's not you, it's me. Coming in at number 4, Boards and Beans. Okay, this one isn't any one specific board game, but it is an entire haunted board game cafe. You should probably avoid playing for too long here unless you want to adopt a little ghost to take home with you. Back in 2016, the owners of a Regina-based board game cafe started noticing some strange happenings around their store. They saw a little girl looking out the window. Doesn't seem too spooky. spooky, right? In fact, at first, she thought it was her granddaughter, but then her granddaughter walked in from the other side of the room, scaring her absolute pants off. After this, many other sightings took place in the board game cafe. Customers would complain about strange noises and that they had been touched by an unseen presence during their time in the coffee shop. Multiple sightings of a new employee behind the counter were reported as well, but there was no new employee to speak of. Ghosts would cause mischief as well, opening their industrial dishwasher and sending baked goods flying across the room. There's also a supposed video of a specter moving through the store as well, causing footage of the owner to distort in an odd way, but that is yet to be fully explained. Eventually, the paranormal and supernatural team was called in, leading to the debunking of some of the claims. However, the investigators did still find some unexplainable things and went away not being 100% sure what to think about it. So if you want to play some normal board games in a haunted environment, Boards and Beans is the place for you. Coming at number 3, Ouija. What would a cursed board game list be without the classic spirit talking board? You take a board with the alphabet printed on it and numbers 1 through 10, yes or no, and you put a planchette on that board, and then you put your fingers on the planchette and bam! Paranormal experience. Interestingly enough, they were regarded as simple parlor games when they first came out until American spiritualist Pearl Curran popularized their use as a divining tool during World War I. Since then, the spooky Ouijas have grown in popularity as spirit mediums. Churches have publicly warned against their use, claiming that demonic possession is a very real risk, although occultists tend to be more divided. On one hand, there are plenty of positive aspects to contacting the spirit realm. You can learn a lot or get closure from a loved one. However, they also know that inexperienced or reckless users do have a higher chance of being attacked or possessed by otherworldly entities. The scientific community remains unconvinced though. They believe Ouija to be a form of pseudoscience, with unconscious movements controlling the pointer through something they call the ideomotor effect. Whoever you believe, there's no denying the popularity and notoriety of a Ouija board. Demons and malevolent spirits have been reported to show up, especially in the last decade or so. One of the more popular tales is that of Demon Zozo, who we've done a video on in the past. Go check it out. A man claims that his daughter was almost drowned thanks to Zozo's influence, and also that she got very sick with an undiagnosable illness. There have also been stories of folks not respecting or even outright laughing at demons they've conjured and paying the price big time. Don't mess with the Ouija. Coming in at number 2, Beyond the Gates. Remember VCR board games? You would set up a board with all the pieces and then fire a tape into your VCR and click play and it would make that whirring noise, and then it would instruct you on how to proceed. You could pause it at certain times to make sure that the timing was right, and they always had the most ridiculous mascots / hosts. Yeah, those were the days. Beyond the Gates is one of these, found in a family's old video shop. A pair of brothers discovered it while going through their estranged, deceased alcoholic father's video store. When they play it, the host, Evelyn, will ask if they're willing to risk their souls. She also asks about their father and has creepily specific knowledge about the players. So of course they turn off the tape, but soon they find themselves waking up at 3:13 a.m., drawn to the cathode ray tube TV. To win the game, they must collect 4 keys, each of which is hidden somewhere nasty. After pulling keys out of drifter midriff and police heads, they face off against some nasty ghouls in a secret gated dimension in their basement. At this point, it's play or die. When they ask the proprietor of a game shop about the game, it's revealed that no one has ever beaten it in the past. And whenever the game is returned to the shop, it's not the players doing the exchange. Gotta love a cursed game return policy though, just in case. If you didn't know, this hypothetical board game originated in a 2016 movie of the same name, Beyond the Gates. If Barbara Crampton is gonna steal my soul, so be it. And at number 1, Rap Rat. He's Rap Rat, and he's the boss. Better listen up, kids. Another VHS board game. This one was meant for kids, done in a similar style to Mousetrap. An anonymous storyteller posted his experience at the game online, detailing all of these sick and twisted details. First time he and his siblings played, the little brother left the room crying immediately after seeing Rap Rat. This hideous mascot barely resembled a rat, with ears too big, a swollen mouth, and 2 rotten, pointy teeth. The thing that scared them the most though were his glassy fish eyes. He screamed, "Wait your turn," in a demonic low-pitched voice before flashing terrifying images on the screen. A tarantula, a hornet stinging someone's eyes, a pit of writhing cobras, a bloodied syringe, you name it. Naturally, they got rid of the tape right away, but not before seeing enough nightmare fuel to last a lifetime. Years later, the same guy found it in his childhood bedroom. He and his girlfriend decided to watch it for laughs, but but didn't end up laughing. They were even more terrifying images than before, and when they tried to take the tape out of the player, it burned their hands. A neighbor even called the police because a strange person was scratching at their front door. Needless to say, they wanted to know what the hell was happening. After doing some research, they found out that a child had died in the sweatshop where the rat puppet was made. The child's mother laid a curse upon the production and claimed to summon a fear demon. Her last words to the folks at the company were, "Apparat will curse you." So of course the big shots over there had a chuckle and named their mascot after a loose anagram of the demon. Apparat, Rap Rat. Smart move. Now anyone who sees Rap Rat will be unable to escape him. Even if you see a normal version of the rat, he could still be lurking in the shadows, waiting to reveal his true horrible self.
Now coming in at 5, Latum Alterum. Now this paranormal game invites ghosts to party at your house, which is somewhat of a sad statement when you have no friends and need to chill with the dead. Anyway, to play this game you will need candles, matches, a knife, a piece of paper, a mirror, and finally a dark room to sit in. To begin, bring all your materials, including yourself, into the dark room. Set the mirror on a wall and sit down. Second, grab your paper and lay it in front of you. Grab your knife and make a small cut in your thumb, big enough to ooze out some blood by squeezing your thumb. Squeeze the blood out onto your paper. Third, light a single match and light the candle. Lay the candle over your blood on the paper. Fourth, chant 3 times, I quote, "I wish to speak with the other side. You are allowed into my home, to my event." Fifth, blow out the candle and light another one. Close your eyes and say, "Thanks for coming to the event. I hope we have a pleasant get-together. Welcome." Sixth, finally light the candle. If the match doesn't light or goes out more than 3 times, I advise you to run to the nearest light source and do not go back into that room until morning. Now, if you completed the steps I mentioned, you should begin to experience 1 out of 3 things. If you hear whispering behind you, that means they have accepted to come into your home, and they are talking to each other. You may feel tingling, but don't worry, that's just the spirits trying to get your attention. You cannot turn around though, no matter what. If they touch you, do not turn around. Second, if you don't hear whispering but you hear taps and knocks around your home, that means they accepted the invite but would rather explore your house than hang out with you. Pretty sus, to be honest. Third, if none of the 2 happen and the candle goes out, close your eyes and chant, I quote, "The event is over, you shall all go home and never return. Once done, leave the room and don't return until morning." Fun times. In at 4, Daruma-san. Also known as the bath game, this paranormal game is pretty simple. It summons a woman's spirit for a fun game of hide and seek. However, it's not as straightforward as normal hide and seek, because if the spirit catches you, well, it's game over. Forever. What makes this game curious is that Odama dolls are traditionally symbols of good luck, and this game in no way abides by those rules. So before we begin, play it at your own risk. To play the game, you'll need just 1 person, yourself, and 1 bathroom with a bathtub. Important, it must be a bathtub. Here are the steps. You must begin at night, just before you go to bed. Shed your clothes, then enter the bathroom and fill the tub with water and turn off all the lights. Climb into the tub and sit down facing the faucet. Close your eyes and begin washing your hair. As you do this, repeat the words Daruma-san fell down, Daruma-san fell down. Do not stop repeating this until you have finished washing your hair, and do not open your eyes. If you have followed the previous steps correctly, you will gain a mental image of a Japanese woman standing in a bathtub. She will slip and fall, landing face first on a rusty tap and gouging her right eye out. Should you hear any noise behind you or feel movement in the tub, do not, and I mean do not, turn around and do not open your eyes. Ask aloud, "Why did you fall in the bathtub?" Allow the question to hang in the air, then keep your eyes shut. Carefully stand up and get out of the tub. Do not trip and fall yourself, and do not drain the tub. Exit the bathroom, shutting the door behind you. You may now open your eyes. Leave the bathroom as you left it, water in the tub, door shut until morning. Do not turn on any lights. Now, go to sleep. Now that was just the prelude. This is the main event. Awaken at your usual time. The game begins as soon as you open your eyes. Go about your day as normal. You will feel a constant presence behind you. It is likely that, should you turn to look, you will see nothing. However, glancing over your right shoulder may occasionally reveal a glimpse of her. Her hair will be black and tangled, and she will have only 1 eye. She will attempt to get closer and closer to you as the day goes on. Should you spot her and find that she is too close for comfort, shout, Tamer, that is, stop, and run away. The idea is to put some distance between you and her. Do not allow her to catch you. Now the game ends when you capture her in your gaze by looking over your right shoulder. Shout, Kitta, that is, I cut you loose, while swinging your arm down in a chopping motion. If you have performed this action correctly, a winning condition will have been achieved and the game will be over. If you have not performed this correctly, run, cause you're dead. Coming in at 3, the picture game. This paranormal game allows you to snap a picture of a spirit. Yeah, something we've all wanted to do, right? For this game you'll need at least 2 participants, the more the better. You will also need a length of string, rope or other similar material, scissors, a knife or another sharp edge, one small mirror for each person, a camera with flash, a drinking glass, a beverage and a quiet room. To begin you must start at midnight. Make the string or rope into a circle by tying the ends together in a knot. Place the rope circle in the middle of the room and then place the drinking glass in the middle of the rope circle. Fill the glass with the beverage. Arrange the participants in a circle by seating them around the outside of the rope circle. A word of warning, do not step into the center of the circle at any time. Each participant must place their mirror in front of them. The reflected part should be pointed at the ceiling. Next, turn off all of the lights. Now the invitation begins. The participants must close their eyes and hold hands. Each person must say one after another the phrase, I trust you. Again, do not speak the phrase in unison. Each person must say it individually. After each person has stated those words, they should now repeat 3 times in unison the words, the door is open, please come in. You may now open your eyes. Next up, the sitting. Begin the sitting by having one participant take up the camera. The person must say the words, I caught you, then point the cameras forward toward the middle of the circle. They must take just one picture. Next, pass the camera to the next person in the circle. They must repeat the same phrase and take a picture. The camera should make its way around the circle 3 times. After this, put it down. Next up, we have the farewell. All participants must close their eyes and repeat 3 times, in unison this time, the phrase, it is time to go home. Each person must now turn their mirrors upside down. Turn on the lights, using scissors or knife, cut open the rope circle. Take the drinking glass outside and empty it. You may now review the photo taken during the ritual. What you see, look closely. Closer. There it is. Coming in at 2, the 3 kings. Now this game takes you to a place called the shadow side in order to get answers. You will need a few things before we begin. A very large, empty and quiet room, preferably one without windows. If there are windows, you need to cover them to ensure total darkness. A pack of candles and a lighter, a bucket of water and a mug, a fan, 2 large mirrors, 3 chairs, an alarm clock, an active cell phone, a loved one willing to follow the rules, and a small toy or object from your childhood. Now begin the setup around 11 PM. Place one chair in the center of the room facing north. This is important. Place the other 2 chairs exactly to the left and right facing your throne. The distance between your throne and that of your queen and fool should be about the length of your arm to each side, more or less. Place 2 large mirrors on the queen and fool's chair, left and right of you, facing you. Try your best to have them stand at a 90-degree angle. You may get more or less than 3 kings. If you sit on your throne facing straight ahead, you should be able to perceive your own reflection in each of the 2 mirrors without actually having to turn your head nor your eyes to do so. If you see your own reflection in the corner of your eye, just barely there, then you've done it right. Place a bucket of water and the mug in front of you, just barely out of reach. Place the fan behind you and turn it on. Turn off the lights, leave the door open and go to your bedroom. Set the candles by the side of the bed. Next to a lighter, your alarm clock and cell phone. Set your alarm for 3:30 AM. Turn off the lights and sleep while holding your power object. Now it's showtime. Wake up at 3:30 AM, but don't turn on the light. You have exactly 3 minutes to light your candle. Grab your cell phone and make your way to the dark room to sit in your throne. You should be seated by 3:33 AM. Don't forget your object. Once in your throne, do not look directly at either of the 2 mirrors beside you. Protect the candle with your body, which is standing in between. Look straight ahead at the darkness. Not at the candle, not at the mirrors, just watch straight ahead. Now you may have noticed that I didn't say during the setup which chair was queen and which was a fool. That's because it's your job to find out. And from their point of view, you are either their queen or their fool too, hence 3 kings. But suffice to say, you will not be alone, and if you have questions, you will get answers. Finally, coming in at number 1, elevator game. Now this paranormal game supposedly transports you to another world. For this game you'll need one player, yourself, and one building that is at least 10 stories high with an elevator. To begin, enter your chosen building and get into the elevator on the first floor alone. Do not proceed if anyone else is in the elevator with you. Press the button for the 4th floor. When the elevator reaches the floor, do not get out. Instead, remain inside and press the button for the 2nd floor. When you reach the floor, once again remain inside and press the button for the 6th floor. Do the same again, but this time, when you reach the 6th floor, do not get out and press the button for the 2nd floor. Again, when you reach the floor, do not get out and press the button for the 10th floor. When you reach the 10th floor, remain inside and press the button for the 5th floor. When you reach the 5th floor, a young woman may enter the elevator. Do not look at her. Do not speak to her. She is not what she seems. Press the button for the 1st floor. If the elevator begins ascending to the 10th floor instead of descending to the 1st, you may proceed. If the elevator descends to the 1st floor, exit as soon as the doors open. Do not look back. Do not speak. However, if you reach the 10th floor, you may either choose to get off the elevator or to stay on it. If you choose to get off, and if the woman entered the elevator on the 5th floor, she will ask you, "Where are you going?" Do not answer her. Do not look at her. You will know whether you have arrived at the other world by one indication and one only. The only present in it is you. In at 5, Charlotte's Web. Now this game has quite an interesting legend. According to some backstory, Charlotte was a 7-year-old girl whose mother was accused of practicing illegal witchcraft and was burnt to death, after which it was believed that Charlotte had escaped into the woods. Now to begin the game, you must enter a room with another person. 2 people is a must. Place 2 chairs in it, each with a distance of 2 feet, facing them in the same direction. You then must place a mirror in front of the chairs in a way that you can see their reflection while being seated. Before you sit down, you must now place a table behind the chairs in a way that it can be seen in the mirror when no one is seated. You then must place a toy on the table, again in a way so you can see it in the reflection. Turn on the flashlight and turn off all of the lights in the room. Now both people should sit down in the chairs and look at the mirror. Repeat together, "We want to play Charlotte's Web." Continue to look at the mirror. Do not take your eyes away from it. Specifically, keep your eyes on the toy in the mirror, if it's still there, that is. Don't turn around no matter what. Just keep looking at the toy. If the ghost takes the toy, that means she is pleased and wants attention, and in turn might want to talk. You may ask questions one at a time without turning around, once again focusing on the mirror. In order to end the game, simply say together, "Goodbye, Charlotte." Again, do not turn around until you see that the toy is gone, and that the girl has wandered off from the reflection in the mirror. Then, immediately turn all the lights on. A side note, when playing the game, you must only, and I mean only, use a flashlight. Do not use a flame because, as we know, the girl's mother was burnt at the stake, and that may scare her away, plus it's just rude. In at 4, Dry Bones. Similar to a few other games coming up on our list, Dry Bones is equally as horrifying, but unlike the others on our list, there is a prize at the end of this one, if you get lucky that is. The game must be played alone and is a game that specifically summons a demon, so be warned. To play, you must first turn off all the lights in your house. Classic. Then light a candle and go into a room with a mirror exactly 12:01 AM. Now what you do next is a little tricky and very creepy. You must stare into a mirror until you feel the presence of someone or something other than yourself in the room. Once you feel another presence with you, you must tell the demon, "I acknowledge your presence and welcome you into my house for a game of hide and seek till 3 AM. I acknowledge your presence and welcome you into my house for a game of hide and seek till 3 AM. You can come in now." After saying this, you have to run and find the best hiding spot you can without making any noise whatsoever. The aim here is to not, and I mean not, get caught. If you manage to stay hidden till 3 AM, the game is over and you have won the game. You then have to go into the biggest room in the house and announce that the game is over and that the demon is no longer welcome in your home. However, before leaving, the demon will grant you a winning present. When he does this, you should be able to hear his voice right behind you. However, if you lose the game, well, I think we all know what happens then. You dead. In at 3, One Man Hide and Seek. Now there are a few requirements for this game, so listen very carefully. You will need a pair of nail clippers, a sack of uncooked rice, a stuffed doll with proper limbs, a cup of salt water, a TV, red thread, a needle, a sharp-edged knife or a pair of scissors, incense, a bathtub, and of course, like the name says, you will need a hiding place. Now to begin, you'll use a sharp knife or a pair of scissors to cut open the doll and remove its stuffing. Then fill the doll with the uncooked rice, clip one of your fingernails and place it into the doll along with the rice. Then stitch the doll with the red thread, and without cutting it, wrap the remaining thread around the doll. You then must fill up the bathtub with water and purify the room in which the ritual is being performed with incense. Then place a television in the room. Now place a cup of salt water in your hiding spot and give a name to the doll. At 3 AM precisely, you must repeat, "Your name is the first it" to the doll. Then submerge the doll in the bathtub and leave it there. Turn off the light and go to your hiding spot and turn on the TV. Close your eyes, count to 10, and once done, take the scissors or knife and go near the tub. Next, you remove the doll from the tub and repeat, "I have found you." Doll's name. Then cut off the red thread and repeat, "You are the next it." And then say the doll's name again, and then put the doll back in the tub. Return to your hiding spot and remain silent. Fill your mouth with salt water and hold it. Do not swallow it. Hold the remaining water in the cup. Now start looking for the doll because it may no longer be in the place you left it. When found, pour the remaining water onto the doll as well as the water in your mouth. Repeat, "I win" to the doll. Once the game is done, allow the doll to dry, burn it, and get rid of the burnt remains. According to the legend of the game, it is believed that the rice represents the internal organs of the doll, luring the spirit toward it. Red thread, on the other hand, represents blood vessels, and cutting it off releases the spirit inside. Once started, the game must be finished, otherwise you may meet a gruesome end. In it too, the midnight game, one of the scariest games on our list, has to be started before midnight. It is a game to begin with, but once it begins, the game ends. You'll see why. Originally, it was believed that the game was a punishment for those who demystified the laws of gods and is very much like an ancient pagan ritual. For those wishing to play the game, you must begin with a piece of paper with your full name and a small amount of your own blood that you must drip onto the paper. Allow the paper to soak up the blood and proceed by calling out the dark, aka just turn off all the lights. You then must place the paper with a lit candle on top of it in front of a wooden door. The door should be closed. Then knock on the door 22 times, calculating the final knock exactly when the clock strikes 12. Open the door now, and then blow out the candle to invite the midnight man inside. If you dare, that is. You then must continue to move around the house until 3:33 AM to keep away from the midnight man with a newly lit candle. However, if the flame goes out or if you don't light it in 10 seconds, there is a possibility of being caught. It is believed that if the candle goes out or you don't light it in time, you should enclose yourself in a circle of salt and should not attempt to come out before 3:33 AM. Once this is complete, turn the lights on and the game is over. And finally, in at number 1, The Hooded Man. This game is not for the faint-hearted, trust me. It is believed to create a link to a world that is drastically different from our own. To play the game, you must shut all the doors, windows, draw the curtains, turn off the lights, and unplug all electronic devices in your home. During the game, you must carry only a watch for the entire ritual, and anything that holds power must be kept away. You must then count to 13, sit near the telephone and dial the haunted number 204-96888. Then tie a black cord to the receiver and repeat the dial, but this time with a different number, i.e. 255-15823. Repeating this, counting till 13 and say, "Hello, I need a cab," into the receiver. Then replace the previous black cord with the second one and burn the initial cord. Outside the window, a cab will now be parked. Get into the back seat of it, lock the door and go to sleep. A short while later you will wake up. Check your watch. If it strikes 3:30 AM, go back to sleep. However, if it shows a time other than 3:30, exit the cab immediately and return to your home. However, if you wake up the second time, you will find the cab being driven on a highway by a man wearing a hood. Don't freak out or try to escape. What you must do is whisper into the man's ear that you have reached your destination. Then you must fall back to sleep one more time. When you wake up the third time, you will find yourself back at home. Once inside, dial the number 200082 and say, "Thank you for the ride." Untie the black cord from the phone and burn it like the previous ones. This is important. Do not forget to bury the ashes of the cords in the ground. Otherwise, the entire game may fail. Once done, sprinkle some salt on the burial site and follow up with a cleansing ritual. Easy, right?
Coming in at number 5, we've got The Three Kings. After blowing up on r/nosleep, this game actually spawned its own subreddit of terrifying games you can play alone in the dark. No uncles necessary for this one either. The author behind The Three Kings says it's not so much a game as it is a way to access the shadow side, which really is what most demonic games involve, isn't it? You gotta look into other dimensions to find demons, you know. Before you begin, make sure you're in a good headspace. If you're under the influence of intoxicants or in a negative zone, you'll have an especially bad time. The goal of the game is to invite 2 other spirits into your home and figure out who is your queen and who is your fool. The spirits are going to do the same, seeing as the game is called The Three Kings. To play, you have to set up 3 chairs, 2 of which will support mirrors. Your throne should be placed between the 2 reflective recliners. Set an alarm for 3:30 a.m. and head to bed. When you wake up, you'll have exactly 3 minutes to grab your candle and make it to the chair. If you can sit and have your candle lit by 3:33 a.m., it's time to begin. Stare into the darkness with the 2 other mirrors in your periphery. Do not look at the mirrors, do not look at the candle. There should be a fan running behind you, so you need to use your body to shield the flame. You've got to stay sitting there, staring at the darkness until 4:34 a.m. The author encourages setting up plenty of fail-safes as well. The fan behind you is actually to keep you safe. If your body suddenly moves, then the candle goes out, ending the ritual. A loved one is encouraged to be on standby to rouse you at 4:34, either by calling out to you or dousing you with water. No touching. You're also supposed to bring an object of power with you, like a favorite childhood toy or a piece of significant jewelry. Otherwise, things can go very awry. The actual happenings in this game are for you to find out, but don't try unless you're ready for some consequences. Coming in at number 4, we've got The Devil's Face. This is a little simpler than The Three Kings, but can end just as badly. Take 12 candles and lock yourself in a bathroom with a mirror right before midnight. Turn off the lights, face the mirror, and light all of your candles in a row. Once you're ready, close your eyes and keep them closed until the stroke of 12. If you displace your lids at the perfect time, you'll find yourself face to face with the devil. No pale moonlight. It seems like a harmless game, but let's be real. Is the devil gonna let you see their face and get away scot-free? Not likely. So if you want to play this game, maybe make peace with the world before you try. Coming in at number 3, we've got One Man Hide and Seek. Or actually, One Man, One Doll Hide and Seek. To play this game, you need a laundry list of interesting items. It takes a while to set up, so be ready for some prep. Collect the following: a doll, rice, a piece of your fingernail, red thread, a tub of water, some salt water, a television, and some sort of fire. Once you've got all your materials, it's time to play. Replace the stuffing in your doll with rice and toss the piece of fingernail in there as well. Sew it up with that red thread, toss it in the tub of water, and give it a name. I think I'd call mine Smarv, but hey, that's just me. Once your doll is submerged and given a title, you better run and hide. Turn off the lights and turn on the TV. Take a mouthful of salt water, but don't swallow. If you manage to do all of this, you're ready to play. Wait in your hiding spot for 1 whole minute, and then it's time to seek. If everything went according to plan, the doll will no longer be in the tub. And you'd better start searching quick, because nobody wants a haunted doll hiding in their home. If you're able to locate the terrifying toy, you've won. Dribble your mouth salt water on it and prove your dominance or something. But once the doll dries out, you have to burn it, because there's no being too careful in a situation like that. If you just lock it away or toss it, who knows when it might find its way back to you. Afterwards, keep an eye out for strange static coming from your television. Poltergeist fans know that this can be a sign of additional spirits roaming about. Coming in at number 2, we've got the Midnight Game. According to some unverified sources, this is an old pagan ritual used to punish rule breakers. Classic ancient people, subjecting people to untold horrors just to make them atone for their sins. Still probably preferable to prison, but hey, you can't make money off torture alone. Usually the Midnight Game is just a scary experience meant to keep people from repeating past transgressions. However, there is a chance of death. Plenty of opportunity for permanent mental scarring too. To play, wait until exactly, you guessed it, midnight. Write your full name on a piece of paper and let a drop of your blood soak in. Turn off the lights, go to your door, and place the paper in front of it. Light a candle, put it on the paper, and then knock on the door exactly 22 times. Following this, you open the door, extinguish your candle, and close the door. The Midnight Man has now entered your home. When you relight your candle, the fun can begin. You now walk around your home with the lit candle until 3:33 a.m., avoiding the Midnight Man at all costs. If your candle goes out, that means he's near. At that point, you must relight your candle in less than 10 seconds or suffer. Alternatively, you can surround yourself in a circle of salt for protection, but then you have to remain within it until 3:33. If you can't relight or make the saline circle in time, the Midnight Man will induce a hallucination of your greatest fear until 3:33. This is where the mental scarring and death come in. Be careful. Managing to move around until 3:33 without being attacked means you win. And what do you win? Well, not going nuts. That's about it. High risk, low reward. Thrill seekers only, I guess. Oh, and make sure you keep these additional rules in mind. Keep moving or you're gonna get caught. Don't turn on lights or use a flashlight. Don't go to sleep. Don't use anyone else's blood, and don't use a lighter instead of a candle. And for goodness sakes, do not provoke the Midnight Man. You catch all that? Cool. And finally, at number 1, we've got the closet game. You're literally trying to summon a demon with this one, so if that's interesting to you, go for it. If you are interested, find a closet that you can live without. I'll get to why you shouldn't be attached to this tiny room in a little bit. Shut yourself inside and make sure that there's absolutely zero light leaking in. At this point, hold up an unlit match and say, "Show me the light or leave me in darkness." Wait a moment or two and see if you feel any changes. Hearing whispering and feeling strange presences are a good sign that there are demons afoot. Now is the time to light the match, and you better do it quick. Folks who are slow draws often get pulled into the darkness. Don't even think about looking behind you either. Done correctly, the lighting the match will cause the whispers to disappear. Now, it's safe to exit the closet, but keep holding onto the match. Shut the door behind you and don't look back. And try not to use the closet too often after this, as the demon is haunting it permanently. Well, who is ready to play these? I mean, vow to never play these. Freudian slip. What'd you think of the list? Has anyone tried these before?
Starting us off in at number 5, One Man Hide and Seek. One Man Hide and Seek is a game that originates from Japan, where it's known as Hitori Kakurembo, which I probably said incorrectly. The game consists of you inviting a spirit to possess a doll so that you can then play hide and seek with it. Obviously, considering you're allowing a spirit to possess an object, things could get a little bit Annabelle up in your home, if you know what I mean. So, how do you play? Well, you need a doll, some rice, one of your fingernails, a sharp-edged object, red thread, salt water, and a bathtub also filled with water. The doll is recommended to not be a human doll, but rather an animal, since there's less of a chance the spirit will want to stay within the doll after the game is done. And the doll must have limbs. We're talking teddy bear friends. The rice is for your doll's stuffing. You remove the cotton, since the rice is said to help attract spirits. The fingernail can also be substituted for something else from your body. It is to represent you, and if something happens to the doll, that means something can happen to you too. You also can't use someone else's fingernail, since the game won't work properly that way. The sharp object is to anger the spirit inside the doll by stabbing it, so it can't be a knife or scissors because that spirit may end up using it against you. The red thread is to sew the doll back up, the salt water is to help get rid of the spirit by the end of the game, and the bathtub is what you'll need to put the doll in order to summon the spirit. So, essentially, you put the rice in the doll, fill up your tub, wait till 3 AM exactly, turn off all the lights except your TV, and then say to the doll, at 3 AM, the first tagger is, and then your name. Say this 3 times while closing your eyes, then put the doll in the bath. Walk away, and don't look back at the doll, and then slowly count to 10. Now there's a lot more from there, so it's worth googling, since a lot of the steps that we're skipping over now involves how to keep yourself safe from the spirit and then how to be rid of it. If you dare to try this out, which everyone highly suggests that you don't, it's recommended that you put all your pets outside, because otherwise they will lose their shit and also act really strange afterwards. Up next, number 4, Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary is one of the most well-known spooky games out there. Essentially, it summons the spirit of Bloody Mary, who is a folklore legend, often considered to be a witch. How do you play? Well, you go to your bathroom with a candle, turn off all the lights, then enter the bathroom and look in the mirror. Stand in front of the mirror, hold the candle up, and say the name Bloody Mary 9 times, with a pause after every 3 times that you chant it. Bloody Mary is then supposed to appear behind you in the mirror, and will probably be pissed off at the fact that she's been summoned. Also, fun fact, many believe that this game originated from a rumored divination ritual in the early 20th century about a woman staring into a mirror to catch a glimpse of her future husband, as you can see on this Halloween greeting card now. I mean, Bloody Mary versus future husband. I don't know, neither of those sound like a good idea to me. Haunted or disappointed? Your choice. And at number 3, the closet game. The goal of the closet game is to get a demon to haunt your home. Not something I think I'd ever really want, but hey, to each their own. Essentially, the game requires A, a closet, and B, some matches. You go inside said closet after midnight after you've made sure that all the lights in your home have been turned off. Then, inside the closet, you are supposed to say the phrase, "Show me the light or leave me in the darkness." According to the game, you should hear a whisper in response. As soon as you hear that whisper though, strike a match. If you don't hear a whisper, that means that there's now a demon in your house, and good luck to you. Not the best of outcomes. Yet at number 2, Dry Bones. The Dry Bones ritual is a pretty creepy one, and involves some more demon summoning. Yay! Get yourself a candle and a single match. At 12:01 a.m., head on over to your bathroom and look in the mirror, lighting the candle with the match. This is when you say, I am aware of your presence and I welcome you into my home. Come now. From here on out, get the hell out of your bathroom as fast as you can. Find yourself a good hiding spot. This will have summoned a demon into your home and it will be hunting you. Dangerous hide and seek. If the demon hasn't found you by 3 a.m., you win the game and you're safe. If it has, well, probably not watching this video. And finally, in at number 1, the Ouija board. Oh, the Ouija board. It's the most common paranormal themed game you could play, and also one that's rumored to have had some of the most terrifying and skin-crawling results. Even if you've never seen one in person, you're bound to have seen a horror film or two that features its characters using one of these boards. For those of you out of the loop though, a Ouija board is a spirit board marked with letters of the alphabet and the numbers 0 to 9, along with the words yes, no, and goodbye. Sometimes it also has the word hello on it. It's used as a device to communicate with spirits and ask those spirits questions. If you believe your home is haunted, you and your pals can bust out one of these boards and attempt to have a conversation with whatever entity is there. Pointer on the board will move along it to spell out words letter by letter as a response. Many believe that using a Ouija board is a surefire way to get possessed by a demon.